Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants Hangout. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I will be your host for today. If you've been following along this month, you know that we have been really focusing on climate change. So, talking to scientists and explorers from all over the world, learning about the issues and what's happening to our planet, but also learning about some of the solutions that scientists and explorers are coming up with to help mitigate these problems. So, I want to give a huge shout out to Environment and Climate Change Canada and thank them for their support this month for helping make some of these events possible. And today I'm really excited. Today we are using one of our textbook size satellite BGAN units, and it is down in Antarctica, and we are going to be hanging out with a team there. And I want to introduce Sarah Kienle from the team. So Sarah is a marine mammal biologist at the University of California, Santa Cruz. She's fascinated by the variety of ways that animals have adapted to life underwater. So Sarah's work has taken her to remote islands, to zoos, to aquariums around North America. And of course, she is currently now in Antarctica studying leopard seals, which are a top predator in the Southern Ocean. So Sarah, this is so awesome to have you joining us live from Antarctica today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Isn't technology pretty awesome?
The technology is incredible. This is our first time being connected to the internet in 2.5 weeks.
I know. I was a little bit nervous. We haven't talked for a while, but so far so good.
Yeah, us too. We're nervous as well. Yes, we're doing great.
All right, Sarah, well, we're excited to learn about some of your research. We're excited to see where you are and meet some of the team. We're ready.
All right, sounds great. So hi from Cape Shiref, Antarctica. I'm here with a team of researchers all right behind me. And you guys are all really lucky because this is one of our very few sunny days. And we have a stunning view of the glacier behind us. We have southern elephant seals right here. And I'm going to turn and over here. Oh, over here is a little Waddell seal. And we're here working with leopard seals. Our season about 2 weeks ago. And so far we've done work with 5 leopard seals, adult animals, both males and females. And we're here studying the basically feeding behavior, ecology, and physiology of these animals. Very little is known about them, but if we think about top predators, we can list lions, tigers, bears, killer whales. Well, leopard seals are right up there with them, but we know very little about what they eat and how they work and what they do and how they're responding to a rapidly changing ocean environment. So that's why we're here. As Joe mentioned, my name is Sarah, and I'm from the University of California, Santa Cruz, where I study how marine mammals eat. And I'm going to pass the phone around so that every member of our team can introduce ourselves. I'm just going to show it to you.
I'm Mike Goebel, and I'm from San Diego, California. I work with National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
And Shane Canades from Colorado State University.
I'm Renato from the Chilean Antarctic Institute in Chile.
Oh, you should introduce yourself in Spanish too.
Oh, yeah. Some kids watching. This is for them. Soy Renato desde Antártica. Trabajo en el Instituto Antártico Chileno.
Steve Trumbull, Waco, Texas, Baylor University.
And our whole team has a variety of expertise that we're all using, coming from multiple institutions. Oh, can you hear me still?
Yep, Sarah, you're still coming through.
Oh, okay, great. So where we are right now is we're on an island called Livingstone Island. It's on the Antarctic Peninsula. And where we're specifically located is called Cape Shiref. And it's this little peninsula that's got land and not covered by ice. So behind me, you should be able to see that blue in the background. That's the glacier that covers most of this island. And there's actually some stunning mountains behind it, but usually they're covered in clouds. You can see a little bit of the mountains over there. And so where I'm located right now is on this beach that's called Media Luna. And we have some southern elephant seals laying out on the beach. So that there's one right there that's calling. And you probably can't hear him from here, but he's got his mouth open and is calling. And then we have some stunning mountains over here. And so what we do every day is we get up when the sun rises. Sunrise today was around 9:30 a.m. we go hiking and looking for leopard seals. And if we're lucky, we see maybe one, and then we gear up and we go and we work on the animals and we attach instruments to them that tell us what they do while they're at sea. We also take all sorts of measurements, mass, length, girth, so how fat they are, to get a sense of how well they're doing on these feeding trips. And then we also take all these samples that give us information about diet and body condition and their health. And it's giving us this incredible picture of what leopard seals are doing. So for example, one of the things we're learning is that leopard seals are thought to be kind of wimpy divers. Turns out they can dive more than 700 meters in the ocean, which is incredible. That's an amazing feat for any animal. But for these animals that are typically thought to spend most of their time at their surface, it's really wild to learn that they're being able to do such deep dives. Yeah. Can you hear us still?
Yeah, we got you, Sarah. So Sarah, tell me a little bit, or tell us a little bit about how you work with the leopard seals. What do you have to do to be able to work with them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Renato is going to go grab one of the instruments we use to put on the animals. So because these are wild animals and they're extremely large, so they weigh, some of the females we've been working with weigh about 500 kilograms and can measure more than 3 meters in length. So they're huge animals. We end up having to sedate them. So we give them some medicine that essentially makes them fall asleep. They actually are snoring a lot of times while we're working with them. And that allows us to safely work with the animals and has us be safe and the animal be safe. Procedure when we're working with the animals typically takes about an hour. And during that time, we take all of these samples and measurements that give us so much information about these animals. So Renato here has an instrument. This is one of the instruments we would put on the leopard seal. And what it does is it records information about where the animal is when it's at sea. So the antenna here connects through the satellite system, very much like the internet that we're using to do this call does. It connects through the satellites and gives us location information every 30 minutes for months at a time. And it also records information about how deep the animal is diving. And that's how we know that some of these animals are actually diving quite deep in the water column, which is really amazing. And it also tells us where they're going. So I can tell you that from last year, some of the animals we worked with, some of them, for example, this seal named Violet that we keep seeing over that mountain pass over there, Violet, year round. She doesn't leave. She stays really close to the shore, hauls on and off the beach regularly. But we had other animals that traveled hundreds of kilometers to other islands and to the middle of the open ocean to feed. So they're doing really different things, which is really neat.
All right, Sarah, one of the classrooms sent in a question. They typed one just to me now, and they're wondering about the temperature you're dealing with right now. How's the temperature today?
So the temperature is pretty darn cold, but it's not going to sound that cold. So it's only about negative 4.5 degrees Celsius. However, the wind is almost never less than 20 to 30 knots. And it's really wet. And so it is extraordinarily chilly, but it's not, if you say it just in degrees, it doesn't sound as cold as it actually is.
All right, very cool. All right. Well, Sarah, what else can you tell us about the expedition so far?
Yeah, so this season so far, we have worked with 5 animals. This is our second field season, so we were down here this time last year. And it's incredible how different the environment is just in the 2 years that we've been doing this project. And it's amazing how fast the environment here changes. What we're learning about leopard seals is that they seem to be pretty picky about what sort of weather they haul out. And when I say haul out, what I mean is that they actually come on shore onto the beach. And so it seems like they don't like the rain. They don't really like the snow. They don't like when it's really windy. And because that describes pretty much all of our days here, we're not seeing as many as we did last year. But we know that they're around because of the instrument we put on them last year. We know that there's animals here regularly, but we're seeing tons of other animals. So the southern elephant seals, that are behind me over here. We're seeing a lot of elephant seals. We're seeing a lot of whale seals, Antarctic fur seals. And so this is a really amazing environment. There's lots of species that live here and are doing really well. And so we still have another 3 weeks here. So we're hopeful that we're going to be able to put out the rest of our instruments. We're hoping to get at least 10 and work with 10 animals, leopard seals, while we're here.
All right, very cool. Well, you're halfway there to your goal. The tags that you put on the leopard seals,
Yes.
do they fall off eventually?
Yes, they fall off eventually. So the best case scenario would be that we would see that animal next year and be able to get the instrument off. You get about 10 times more data by actually getting the instrument back in hand. But because we're in such a weird environment and it's so far away, and a lot of these animals are spending so much time at sea, most of the instruments fall off within a year. Because one of the things about seals is that they lose their hair every year. And so the longest an animal could ever have an instrument would be 1 year. These tags for most of the animals transmitted for about 6 months before they either broke, ran out of battery, or fell off last year.
All right, very cool. Well, Sarah, many of the classrooms may know that the polar regions are warming up twice as fast as the rest of the planet. How do you think climate change might affect a species like the leopard seal?
That is such a great question. And it's one of those things we don't know that much about leopard seals, so it's really hard to know how climate change is affecting them. And that's one of the things we're here to study. But I'm going to turn this question over to Mike, actually, because he has been working at this spot in this station for more than 20 years. So he has seen some really incredible and dramatic changes over that time. And so I'm going to let him answer that because he's the best person to speak to it.
Some of our biggest changes have been in the glacier. It's receded quite a bit since I first worked here. But the other big changes are that leopard seals are primarily ice seals. And they seem to be switching prey. They didn't used to feed so much on the seals around Cape Shiref, but over the last 20 years, we've seen dramatic increases in the number of leopard seals, and they appear to be switching prey from ice-associated animals like krill to animals like fur seals. And fur seals were at one time very abundant at Cape Shiref. We had over 10,000 pups born here, and now there's only about 1,000, and most of that has been due to leopard seals preying on fur seal pups.
And I'll also add one of the other things that seems to be happening is leopard seals didn't need to be here. They're here now, but they're also leopard seals in other unusual places like Chile and in New Zealand. And we don't know yet if that's because leopard seals are having to move to find new prey, or whether maybe leopard seals are doing really well. But they're definitely being affected by this warming environment. And part of our goal is to figure out how well they're going to be able to cope with that and how flexible they are in their behavior to adapt to this really rapidly changing place.
All right, very cool. Well, Sarah, I'm wondering if we can get another look at those handsome elephant seals behind us, and maybe if you guys can tell us a little bit about the elephant seals.
Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit, but I'm guessing your question is about these southern elephant seals behind me. Is that correct?
Yeah, can we get another look at them, and can you tell us a little bit about them?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna get a little bit closer, and hopefully I don't lose signal. All right. So these over here, these sleeping beasts, are southern elephant seals. And southern elephant seals actually have a sister species that's in the northern hemisphere, from Mexico to California and Oregon, called the northern elephant seal. Southern elephant seals are huge animals. They're actually the largest species of seal. And they are usually on land about twice a year, once a year to breed and once a year to molt. And here we have a bunch of juveniles, some adult females, and a couple of big males that are sleeping over there. Elephant seals are one of the most sexually dimorphic species on the planet, especially among mammals. And what that means is that males and females are they come out on land, how they feed with each other, where they feed, what they eat. All of it is affected because they're so different size. And so these guys here right now are just sleeping. Animals there, and a lot of the little young juveniles seem to have little fake fights to be probably practicing for when they're bigger. And so I don't know if you can see these brownish animals. The larger males, and they can weigh thousands of kilograms. They're just huge animals.
All right. Sarah, if I can get you to move a little bit closer to the unit, we're just kind of losing you a little bit. And then maybe we'll start doing some Q&A with the classrooms.
Yeah. Okay, sounds perfect.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm jealous, Sarah. It looks beautiful there. I imagine the wildlife is incredible. So I imagine even though it's cold, you guys are having a pretty good time.
We're having an amazing time. This has been a fabulous trip.
All right. Well, let's get down to business. You guys ready to meet some classrooms?
Oh, we're so excited. Yes.
All right, let's do it. Let's see. Let's start off. We are going to take a visit to Mrs. Pandola's class. So Mrs. Pandola's class is joining us from Austin, Texas. Let me get their microphone turned on. How we doing, Texas?
Good.
All right, who's got a question for Sarah and the team?
You introduce yourself
My name is Jason.
and read your question.
Hi, Jason.
I like science.
Can you go again, Jason?
Why do you like science?
Oh, no, you're cutting out a little bit. We're having a hard time.
That's okay. Jason's wondering why you guys like science.
Oh, that's such a good question. Why we like science? Oh, I love that question. Oh, Jason, I like science because you to ask questions that you're interested about and find out the answer. So one of my dreams has been to work with leopard seals because they're how they feed, which is something I love and I'm really interested in. We know nothing about it, and so they're kind of the top predators that do really incredible things. And so it took a few years, but all of us were really interested in that question, and we got money to fund us to come here and do that. But the fact that you can ask questions and then find out the answer is one of my favorite things about science. But I'm going to let everybody answer because I think all of our answers are probably really different. Shane?
Love science because of what we get to do. Look what we come. This is beautiful.
Renato?
I agree with Shane. I think I love science because of the questions that we can do in places such as this one.
Travel in the world, get to kind of live your dream. It's great.
Mike?
And just understanding knowing how things are changing, and yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, we lead a great life. Be a scientist. It's wonderful.
All right, awesome. Great question to get us started from our group in Austin. Let's see, where should we go now? Let's go to, there we go. Let's go to Freehold, New Jersey this time. We have some 4th and 5th graders hanging out with Mrs. Hine. Let me get their microphone turned on. How we doing, New Jersey?
Perfect.
Good. Hello. Good.
All right, who's got a question?
Me. So, what facts really stand out to you to learn about the leopard seals and all the seals that you've been learning about?
I think I heard your question, which is what facts really stand out to me about leopard seals in Antarctica. Is that correct?
That was it, yep.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I'll let everybody answer that one too. But for me, it's the fact that you have this top predator equivalent to a killer whale that is eating fur seals. It's eating fish, and it's eating krill. It's eating all of these different prey types, and that's able to switch its behavior. Because if you imagine, it's going to be very different if you're trying to eat a really big seal versus if you're eating something really tiny like krill. And so I think learning about that has been one of my favorite parts of this project, but I'm gonna let everybody else answer that too.
So I study exercise. So what we always thought about leopard seals is they were sprinters. They could swim really fast, and that's all they did. And what we're finding out now is that they're not only sprinters, they can also be marathon runners. And somebody studies exercise, that's amazing to be able to be really fast and also work for a very long time.
Renato?
I really like leopard seals because of the way they shape other species population. Because they eat everything that Sarah was telling you, they have a major impact in other different species around on this ecosystem.
Steve?
So the work that I do is basically kind of fatty acid or lipid chemistry in the muscle and in the blubber. And the thing that we're really kind of noticing here with these animals is they actually take a long time to process everything and digest. And we're finding out that they don't have the typical carnivore digestive strategy, which is really interesting. We're still exploring all that.
Mike?
My interest had been mostly why they're changing in numbers here at Cape Shiref. And as Renato said, how dramatic that change in numbers is having on other populations of penguins and seals.
Yeah, really great question. Thank you.
All right, very cool. Let's take a trip now. Let's go to Canada. Let's go to Guelph, Ontario. We have some grade 3s hanging out with Mrs. Bendo. Let me get their microphone turned on. How are we doing, grade 3s?
Oh,
Good. How fast do seals swim?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I'm going to direct that to Shane over here.
So we're actually still trying to figure that out. The fastest we've recorded a weddell seal swimming is 6 meters per second. Usually they cruise about 1 meter per second, but it looks like the leopard seals are going everywhere from 1 meter a second up to possibly 7 or 8 meters per second. So they can go really, really fast.
Yeah,
All
really
right.
great question. And you know what? I'm going to try and show you real quick what a weddell seal looks like because we have a little juvenile. You may not be able to hear me because I have to move away from the internet. But do you see that little gray animal right over there? Actually, Shane's going to go point it out. So Shane is going and he's going to point out right there. See that little gray animal?
Yep.
That's a weddell seal. So that's the one that he was talking about that can go really deep.
All right, very cool.
Or go really fast. Sorry, really fast.
All right, let's go to Seneca, Kansas this time. We have some third graders hanging out with Mrs. Becker. Let me get their microphone turned on, see how they're doing. How we doing, Kansas?
All right. Yay.
Do you like your job?
What do you like about your job?
What do you like about your job?
Sorry, can you say that again?
What do you like about your job?
Oh, what do we like about our job? Thank you. That's a really great question. I love getting to travel to new places like this. Coming to Antarctica has been a dream of mine for a really long time, and so being here is just fantastic. Getting to see this environment that's so different than anywhere I've ever been before. I'm from Texas originally, so to be in somewhere this cold and this different is really phenomenal and one of my favorite parts of what I do. But I'm going to let everybody answer that one.
So I agree with Sarah. I'm actually from New York City, and this is where I am. But also what I love about what we do is we get to learn all the time. Learn new things and then teach other people about those new things.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Well, we said it before. I love my job because of this, because of the fact that we go around and visit places that you cannot really pay a ticket to go and visit as a tourist. So I think that's the best part, and how close we are from nature is also something really cool.
Yeah.
So I don't really consider this a job, to be honest with you. I mean, this is kind of like a vacation that you're learning a lot. We're very lucky and we're very special to be able to do this. It's a great career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri. So, hello, Kansas. What I love about my job is that you're always learning new things. And in a rapidly changing environment like we're at here in Antarctica, there's so much to learn. And every day we see and we learn new things.
Yeah. Thanks for that question. That was great.
All right, awesome. Well, Sarah, I heard you say you're from Texas, so let's go back to another classroom hanging out with us in Texas. We've got a group in San Antonio, grade 4s, with Mrs. Mervish. Let me get their microphone turned on. How are we doing, grade 4s? All right, if you've got a question in Mrs. Mervish's class, come nice and close for me because your microphone's a little quiet.
Why are they?
Can you try that again? Mrs. Mervish, I think.
Why are they called leopard seals?
Can you try that one more time? That I think your connection is just a little bit slow.
Okay, her question is, why are they called leopards?
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, we're going to get that in just a second. Why are they called leopard seals? We got it that time. But our gang in Antarctica just disappeared. So they might have just had a blink in the satellite. So they might have to follow the link and come back out. Here they come already.
Hey.
Hey, we lost you for a second.
There we are. Sorry, the BGAN unit. Yeah, the BGAN unit turned off for a minute or did something. But we're good. We're back.
Okay. So the question from San Antonio was, why are they called leopard seals?
Oh, San Antonio. That's where I did my undergrad at Trinity University. Why are they called leopard seals? Well, leopard seals are really spotted, so they're a really beautiful animal. They're dark on the top and lighter on the bottom, and they're speckled all over, very much like a leopard. That's my guess of why they're called leopard seals, but I assume that's correct.
Yes,
yep.
yes.
Yep, we all agree. That's why they're called leopard seals.
All right. Very cool. Great question from San Antonio. Let's go to Amherst View, Ontario. So back to Canada, Mr. Richards. Sure. Yeah, if you can find one, absolutely. I'm going to turn on the mic in our Ontario classroom, Mr. Richards' class in Amherst View. If you guys want to turn on your mic and go ahead with the question. Say hi, too, of course.
Being there.
You guys want to turn on your mic and go.
Muted. Is it not unmuting?
I think we've got you now.
My name is Claire, and I'm wondering, how cold has it gotten while you've been in Antarctica?
Ooh, that's a great question, Claire. Okay, so hopefully you remember what I said earlier, that the actual degrees isn't going to sound as cold as it actually is. The coldest it's been since we've been here so far is -6 degrees Celsius. And actually, that's pretty darn cold for it being in April and May. Usually it doesn't start getting that cold here until June. So it's getting colder earlier this season. Right now it's around -4.5 degrees Celsius. And that's the coldest day we've been out and about. And then you might be able to hear the wind on my phone as well. It's quite windy. So while it doesn't sound as cold as it is, we're actually quite chilled. I just had to put some hand warmers on my gloved hand that's holding the phone because it was starting to go a little bit numb. Good question, Claire. Oh, and here, look, we have a picture. Let's see if we can get it. This is a picture of a leopard seal. This is one of the animals that we have worked with while we were here. Can you see it?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a glare. Can you tilt it down a little bit, maybe? Oh, that's better. Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, way better. Yep.
All right, so that's one we've worked with since we've been here. That's one of our, I don't remember what that one's name is, but that's one of our seals.
All right, awesome, very cool. Thanks for the question from Ontario. Let's see, where have we not been yet?
Yeah, thanks, Claire.
Yeah, let's go to Missouri this time. We've got, with Mrs. Allen, some grade 4s hanging out in Missouri. Let me get their microphone turned on. Where is it? There it is. How we doing, Missouri?
Lily, you want to ask your question?
Hey, Missouri.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Lily, and I wanted to ask how much is climate change affecting the animals that live in Antarctica?
Oh, that's a really great question, Lily. It is affecting all of them, as you might know. It's one of the most rapidly changing environments on the planet, and one of the things that's really struck me of hearing stories from Mike right here, who's been working here for 20 years, is the fact that there used to be icebergs everywhere, and now they don't see them nearly as much. We've seen 3 icebergs since we've been here, like way off in the distance, but just you can actually see the changes if you come here year after year. You can see how it's actually changing the planet and the animals. And I'm going to let everybody else kind of give a little bit of spiel about that as well, starting with Mike, the expert.
I would just say that the physical environment is changing in a very dramatic way, and there's a lot less sea ice and a lot less ice. And one of the reasons we're here is that the biological environment is changing just as dramatically as the physical environment, and we're just trying to keep track of how all those changes are happening.
I would say it's amazing to watch animals that we thought only lived on ice, like the leopard seal, transitioning to now colonize land and learn how to use a land-based photo hunting.
Well, a lot of the reason we're here is we really don't understand enough about these animals to determine just how they're being affected. So what we're trying to do is get baseline information about leopard seals and about other animals down here, so we can, in the future, figure out if they're going to be able to cope or not.
Yeah, no, I just want to say that it's very hard also to see where is it going and what is going to happen in the future as well. I've only seen it briefly in my last 5 years working here. Already some major changes, so I cannot even imagine how much of those changes Mike, for example, have seen within all this time that he's been spending here.
Yeah, and it's pretty incredible. One of the things about climate change is that some animals are probably going to be okay, but a lot of other animals aren't. And knowing which ones are going to do what is really difficult. And so for things like leopard seals, like Shane and Steve were saying, if we don't have baseline information about the animals for what they do normally, then it's really hard to be able to predict how they're going to be able to respond to having a really rapidly changing environment. And that's part of what brought us here. That's exactly what we want to know about leopard seals. Great question.
All right. Well, it's so cool to see the sun shining right down on you guys. I'm so glad we got a nice weather day.
You have no idea how that makes us too.
All right, Mrs. Akel's class are some 5th graders who are joining us. They're in San Antonio, Texas as well. Let me get their microphone turned on. Where is it? There it is. How we doing, 5th graders?
What are the dangers that you face?
Ooh, that's a good question. What are the dangers that we face? So here, the answer I think is not going to be what you necessarily expect. For me, it's more tripping over rocks. So we're in a really rocky terrain. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go pan around, and you can see how many hills and rocks and I'm calling them mountains. They're probably just hills. But we're walking over this terrain, and it's really hard when it's been snowing and icing to be able. Oh, there's an elephant seal moving in the background right here that I'm trying to show you as well. And so it's really hard to see where you're going and what you're doing. And I have been falling all the time. I have bruises on my knees because I keep not seeing rocks because they're covered in snow. But I bet everybody else has different answers. Renato?
Slippery. The snow is very slippery, and it's really hard walking around also, and running to animals that sometimes look like rocks.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, some of these seals look like rocks.
Biggest danger is running out of hot chocolate.
Shane?
We're very fortunate. We have enough gear that we're actually really, really quite safe while we're down here.
Yeah.
We have a really nice camp that's pretty warm, but we have to hike as much as 3 to 5 kilometers a day. And so we each take a radio so we can always be in communication with each other, because one of the biggest dangers would be if somebody hurt themselves and hypothermia. But we're all trained in first aid response, wilderness first aid. And so we just try to be as safe as we can.
Yeah, great question.
All right. Well, we do still have a couple more minutes, so I'm going to turn things over to our classroom. So I want you to give me a big wave if I should come back and visit your classroom for another question. We're not going to get to everybody, but we'll do our best to get to a few more classrooms. I think in Mrs. Bendo's class, I see someone right close to the camera. So let's turn their mic on and see if they have a question.
How long can the leopard seals hold their breath underwater?
Oh, that's such a good question. So that's something we didn't really know the answer to, but I was just working with that data about 2 days ago. So I can answer that. So some of them are holding their breath for about 30 to 35 minutes. That's crazy, right? Like, think about trying to hold your breath for that long. And not only are they holding their breath, they're doing exercise. They are chasing after prey when they're holding their breath that long. So if you think about yourself going down in a pool and holding your breath, you're usually staying really calm and you're not doing a lot. These guys for 30 minutes are swimming and chasing and moving up and down. They're incredible animals to think about all of that.
All right. Awesome question. And actually, that got me thinking about, I know that penguins are sometimes on the menu for leopard seals. Are there many penguins in the area?
Yeah. Oh, that is okay. One of my favorite parts of being here are the penguins. So we have two species that are usually here, Gen 2s and chinstrap penguins. And we've been really lucky, and we've seen this one king penguin on our trip here this time. And the penguins, one of the things that's super interesting about what they're doing is they have changed their behavior because of the leopard seals. So what they do now is they have these nesting beaches on the far north end of where we are. And they have a beach right there where they could go in the water. But the leopard seals know that. And so what these penguins are doing is they're walking about 2 kilometers, right, to the beach, 2 kilometers, so 4 kilometers a day, back and forth to different beaches to try and avoid being eaten by these leopard seals. And when you walk around the beaches, you can actually see some bones from penguins that have been eaten by leopard seals here in the last few months. It's pretty wild.
Huh. All right. Awesome. Mrs. Pandola's class, I see someone in blue.
Robert. My name is Robert, and I want to know, how do you get around in Antarctica?
Oh, that's a good question. So to get here, it's a pretty wild journey. So all of us are coming, well, most of us are coming from different places in the United States, and we fly down to Santiago, Chile. We get on another plane to get to Punta Arenas, Chile. Then when we're in Chile, we get on a big icebreaker boat. Our boat was called the Lawrence M. Gould, and it's this big orange icebreaker. We get on that for about 4 to 5 days, and it comes down to the peninsula, to Cape Shiref, where we are. And then to actually get onto land, what we have to do is we have to climb down a ladder off the side of this huge boat and get into these little small boats that are called Zodiacs. And then all of us and all of our stuff and water and gas and propane, everything we need to survive is carted in these small boats to the island. And then we carry all of our stuff up to the huts where we're staying. And then where we are here at the Cape, we can get everywhere we need to by walking around. So we're on average, a lot of us have Fitbits, so we've been tracking our steps. We're walking about 7 to 10 miles a day, usually, looking for leopard seals, carrying our gear, working with the animals, coming back. So it's a lot of walking. Great question.
All right. Really good question. Give me a wave if we should come back to another classroom. All right. Lots of hands. Let's go to Mrs. Allen's class.
Stand up, buddy. Hi. Hi. I'm Barrett, and I was wondering, how are the leopard seals adapting to the global warming in Antarctica?
Ooh, how are leopard seals adapting to global Antarctica? That is such a great question. And it's such a great question that's one of the things we're really interested in understanding as well, because we don't know. And we are trying to figure that out right now by learning about their basic biology, what they're eating, where they're going, how they're diving, how they move. All of this information is to try and help us understand how they're adapting to climate change. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add to that? Okay. Yeah. Great question. Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. So give us a couple years and then we'll let you know.
All right. Well, Sarah, our time is quickly running out, but I'm thinking it would be really cool when you get back to California. We should try and arrange another hangout with some of the classrooms so you can share some pictures and other fun stuff with us. Okay, maybe we can.
That would be awesome. And we have one question that nobody asked us that we wanted to answer.
Yeah, go for it.
And the question is, what do we do for fun? And one of the things that we've learned is Steve has taught us this pretty awesome dance that he wants to show.
This is for Texas.
Yeah.
It's my daughter and my son.
Yeah, we're dancing. Yeah. Yeah, look, we love to dance. Yeah. So we have a lot.
It keeps you warm too.
It's also a way of keeping warm. Yeah. We're having a great time here. It's really lovely to have gotten to talk to you guys for so long.
Hey, anything to keep warm, right?
Anything to keep warm, yeah.
Anybody going to go for a polar bear dip?
No. That sounds awful. So terrible. We also don't really have access to easy showers either, so I think we would be cold for the rest of our lives.
All right, fair enough. Well, Sarah and team, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Sounds like things are going great. And to all the classrooms who are tuning in as well on YouTube, as well live, we'll be catching up with the team again, hopefully on the 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that should be a lot of fun.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
All right. I'm going to turn the microphones on, boys and girls. If you want to get really loud, a big goodbye and thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, Sarah and team. Go warm up, and hopefully we'll see you in a few days.
Sounds perfect. Thank you, guys.